So I start off this week pretty well, I would say. Starting off with the Eagles win. Of course, that was impressive for me.
You're 2 in a row on Thursday night.
I am 2-0. I'm 2-0. Have 2 in a row as well. Although there was a push for the point spread, so that's unfortunate. But let's break it down with the next game. Packers at Falcons. I got the Falcons winning here. Now, a lot of injuries are on the Packers side this time. You got Christian Watson dealing with an injury. Bakhtiari was resting. He was questionable, supposedly. Romeo Doubs is dealing with an injury. It looks like Aaron Jones probably won't go. So there's a lot of crucial injuries for the Packers that I think actually, obviously benefit the Falcons. And I think the Falcons will obviously, I think they're going to win here. Bijan Robinson's going to have a great game. Cordell Patterson's coming back. Their offensive line did pretty well last week. So I'll take the Falcons to win. The next one, the Seahawks look terrible against the Rams. Surprisingly bad against the Rams. Their offensive line is decimated. Charles Cross won't play. Their left tackle won't play in this game. Going up against I would say a surging Lions defense that played pretty well against the Chiefs in Week 1 on Thursday Night Football. So I'll take the Lions to win here. I mean, their offense is explosive. The Lions is. I don't think the Seahawks defense is all that great this year. They didn't really show much against a Rams team that was without the number one receiver in Cooper Kupp, who's on the IR right now, and Matthew Stafford tore up that defense. So I think Jared Goff does sort of the same thing here. Tears up the Seahawks defense. I have them winning and covering the 4.5. Bears and Buccaneers -2.5 in favor of the Buccaneers. This one is pretty interesting, and I'm sticking with. I'm shockingly picking Baker Mayfield. And if you've been around the show for a little while, you know that I don't exactly like Baker Mayfield, but I'm more so disappointed when Baker has brought the past couple seasons. So I think it's shocking to at least some that I'm picking the Buccaneers for this one. The Bears look bad. I think they've lost their past 10 games. I mean, it's been ugly. Justin Fields has not looked that great. Week 1 against the Packers, against Jordan Love, who I guess at least a lot in the media, they had no faith in Jordan Love to bring sort of similar success that at least Aaron Rodgers did last season. I was one of them that said, why can't Jordan Love do pretty much average like Rodgers did last season? And so far, he's on a great start. The Bears couldn't stop nothing. They got absolutely walloped in Week 1, and I think the Buccaneers, with the way that defense played against Kirk Cousins, forcing 4 turnovers in Week 1, Baker Mayfield playing pretty well, pretty efficiently, I'll take the Buccaneers to win in Week 2 and cover the 2.5. My first upset of the week, I got the Colts beating out the Texans. Now, C.J. Stroud just went on the injury list, questionable for this game. This was about, I want to say, 2 hours ago, give or take. I really like what I saw with the Colts. The Colts almost beat the Jacksonville Jaguars in Week 1. Now, at the very end, they pulled away. However, they were in that game for a large part of it. And actually, up until the fourth quarter, I believe they were actually leading in the game. So I was very impressed with what I saw with Anthony Richardson. He was the rawest quarterback in the draft. I was impressed with what he did in his first game against Trevor Lawrence, who just had a great year last year. I'll take the Colts to win and obviously cover in an upset. Colts take the win over the Texans. Next one, Bills, Raiders, -8.5. I really don't like the Raiders in this one. I'll take the Bills. On the national stage, you got embarrassed by Zach Wilson, who, 99% of the NFL thinks is not a great quarterback, but of course Robert Saleh is really the only 1% that still says that he's the next Jets quarterback. So I think the Bills absolutely tear the Raiders a new one here. I think Jimmy G, he's efficient, but not really that effective. I'll say that the Bills win and cover a massive 8.5 point spread. The next one, Ravens, Bengals. The Ravens are dealing with some massive injuries. J.K. Dobbins went down. Staley is out, the offensive lineman for the Ravens. I think Joe Burrow gets back on track here. Last season, the Bengals started off 0-2, and there's 11% chance to make the playoffs statistically after going 0-2, and the Bengals did it. I do think they get on to a better start this season. I think they go 1-1 and win over the Ravens. I do think Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Tyler Boyd get that connection going with a little bit of sprinkling of Joe Mixon in there. I think the Bengals, bounce back with a win over the Ravens. Next one, Chargers favored on the road at the Titans. This is where I think we could see a decent Chargers defense. At least on paper, they're phenomenal, but playing-wise, they haven't been nearly the caliber they are that they are on paper. Ryan Tannehill looks terrible. So much so that Mike Vrabel is even calling out his quarterback, saying that we need to get the ball to the open receivers. We need to make the throws. And obviously, Ryan Tannehill in his first game this season against the Saints did not do that. Hell, he threw 3 interceptions and looked absolutely abysmal. I think with the pass rush of Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa, along with cornerbacks and defensive backs like Derwin James, Asante Samuel Jr., and also J.C. Jackson, Jackson. I think the defense tears up the Titans, and also they don't have a great offensive line, the Titans. I think the Chargers get an easy win here and cover a 3-point spread on the road. Next one, the second upset, Chiefs at Jaguars. Chiefs favored by 3.5. I'll take the Jaguars at plus 3.5. What I saw from the Jaguars in week 1 and what I saw with Calvin Ridley, the big question mark was coming back from his suspension, what can Calvin Ridley bring? And apparently he could bring a lot because he was tearing up in week 1, and I think that's sort of the same thing with this one. So I do think, especially Christian Kirk loves man coverage, and that's what the Chiefs primarily play is man coverage on defense, and that's where he finds a lot of his success. So I'm going to take the Jaguars to win here with Christian Kirk, with Calvin Ridley, with Trevor Lawrence, Travis Etienne, a building defense. I really like the Jaguars, and Trevor Lawrence finally beats Mahomes. Next one, 49ers, 7.5-point favorites on the road at the Rams. Now, the Rams look really good. I gave up on the Rams by, what I heard from Matthew Stafford's wife and what I heard through the grapevine of, how bad the defense was and what we saw in the preseason. They couldn't stop nobody. And a 7.5-point spread on the road, that means on an equal playing field, the 49ers would be 10.5-point favorites because normally the home team gets 3 points. I'll take the 49ers to win here. These big point spreads generally you don't want to take. However, I'll say this. Brock Purdy looked actually really, really good. But that defense in week 1 against Kenny Pickett and the Pittsburgh Steelers, who were tearing it up in the preseason, they took care of business. And I think that's going to be relatively the same thing here. I think the pass rush with the Rams offensive line that isn't that great. Cooper Kupp is still on the IR. He'll be on the IR for a number of weeks now. I think the 49ers will take advantage of that situation. I think they'll win and cover a 7.5-point spread on the road. The next, at least, point spread, upset here. Giants at Cardinals. I'll take the Cardinals plus 4, but I'll take the Giants to win here. What we saw week 1, not great. It was supposed to be a better offensive line. It really wasn't. Hell, it may have even been worse. New weapons, you didn't really have time to showcase them because of the fact that the Cowboys, they really did a phenomenal job on defense. And Saquon, He's back from his hiatus. Day 1 of training camp, he came back. Supposed to be this, great running back still. He really had no effect on the game. The Cardinals actually played surprisingly well and were leading late in the game against the Commanders, who at least by Pro Football Focus's standard has like a top 10 defense and a top, 15 offensive line. They're about average on the offensive line. And they actually did a pretty good job with Joshua Dobbs as quarterback. I think the Cardinals actually surprisingly keep it close strictly because Daniel Jones against the Cardinals has not been that great. And I understand people are going to say, well, the fact that Kyler Murray was the quarterback of the Cardinals, didn't that have any effect? Not really. Kyler Murray did not show up and show out against the Giants either of their appearances. It was really the fact that the running game torched the Giants. And I think we can see the same thing right now in this week against the Giants. I'll take the Giants to win. However, the Cardinals do cover. The next one. We talked about this early on in the show, Jets-Cowboys. The Cowboys defense we saw in week 1. They probably have the best defense in the NFL. With the Jets' poor offensive line, Zach Wilson, this doesn't even need to be about Dak Prescott and his potential to be turnover prone. I think the defense is good enough to hold this game, not even close. I'll take the Cowboys to rout the Jets and cover the -9-point spread on the at home. Commanders at Broncos. I'll take the Broncos to win here. It was not pretty in week 1. It really wasn't. And yes, Chase Young is making his debut in this week against the Broncos. I do think this is where we could see Jerry Jeudy's back this week. Getting that weapon back for Russell Wilson is going to be a key piece to whether or not Russell Wilson will have success this year. I will take the Broncos to have a comeback game, win in week 2, cover the 3.5-point spread. Next one, Sunday Night Football, Patriots-Dolphins. Tua is 4-0 against the Patriots in his career, and that continues. He goes 5-0 to begin his career against the Patriots. Yes, Jonathan Jones. He has actually done pretty well against Tyreek Hill, but yeah, the other thing was J.C. Jackson was also against Tyreek Hill, in the past, and he was a very, very good cornerback for the Patriots. Not so much on the Chargers. However, the next guy is Christian Gonzalez, who got torched. Now, his second game will either be against Jalen Waddle or Tyreek Hill, depending on how they play it. If you play man coverage like the Chargers did, you're going to have a similar result that game turned out to be. Over 500 yards given up by the Chargers, and I think the Patriots should play a lot of zone. Now, to start the year, they played a lot of man against the Eagles, and that turned out to be okay, not great. You need to play zone against Tyreek Hill. He's too fast for man coverage. It doesn't matter who you are as a cornerback. I think the Patriots need to play zone, but I don't think it'll be that effective. I'll take the Eagles to win. Or sorry, not the Eagles. I'll take the Dolphins to win on the road and cover the -3-point spread. 2 Monday night games, which is pretty surprising. Saints at Panthers. Saints -3-point favorites on the road at the Panthers. I'll take the Saints here. Saints didn't have a great start. Derek Carr didn't look great. The Titans defense, I would say an underrated Titans defense, did a pretty good job against the Saints. The Panthers, however, on the other hand, not so much. They just lost J.C. Horn for a number of weeks. He got put on IR. He'll be back about midway through the year. That's a crucial loss to that Panthers defense. I'll take the Saints here to win pretty easily. Derek Carr, an experienced quarterback, up against a rookie quarterback in Bryce Young. They'll win and cover the -3-point spread. And for the first time since, I think, 1993, I have the Browns starting their season 2-0. What that defense did to, I would say, a better offensive line on paper than what the Steelers have, and they decimated Joe Burrow and that Bengals offense. I'll take the Browns and their defense to take over against the Steelers and come out with a 2.5-point win, or over 2.5-point win on Monday Night Football, and do what they haven't done since 1993 and start off 2-0. Those are my picks. Week 2 is weird. I don't feel as confident in my picks during week 2. Week 1, I felt like I knew it. You just picked the better team on paper. It turned out to be okay in the win-loss, but, we'll have to wait and see, obviously. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, if you want to check out the full episode, make sure you click the I in the top right-hand corner right now. If you want to listen to this show anywhere you go, make sure you go to anchor.fm/The Harvey Hour or anywhere you get your podcasts.